All right. It's that time. It's time for Beyond Sight and Sound. Let's do this.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoop's company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That's XTREME Scoops.com.
Hey boys and girls, we are going to talk about S&W shooters and prospectors. What is S&W shooters and prospectors?
We at S&W Shooters and Prospectors help people find treasure.
Did you say treasure?
Yes, treasure. Just listen to this amazing review from our happy customer, Jackie Sparrow.
Chocolate shipshape and a pleasure to deal with. I was able to buy everything that I needed at prices that were shillings less than others. I found my 9 pieces of meat in no time. Savvy?
I know you're asking yourself, why should I shop at S&W Shooter and Prospectors?
Chuck Smalley has over 45 years of metal detecting experience. He works with each customer one-on-one to customize their setup to match their skill level.
So if you always dreamt of being a pirate, contact Chuck at S&W Shooters and Prospectors and he'll take a great deal for you.
iPads and rum not included.
Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show. All right, the fine print's out of the way. It's time to roll with the show. We're back. We're live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cool digging people out there. And as I look into the chat, I see there's a few people dropping in. We see Chuck's in, Bill's, Mike, Dennis, Joseph, Bob, Susan, Barb. Quite a few. Definitely. Good to see. Okay. So links first and foremost in the chat in the description. Our friends over at Shooters and Prospectors, A.I.P, Extreme Scoops, DETECTEES, TheRingFinders, Terry Shannon's website, Nokta website. Let's see here. Metal Detecting Central Illinois, I&I. Metal Detecting Beyond Sight and Sound, Detect America, all on Facebook. And then we've got Ohio Metal Detecting, Detect That Outdoors, All Metal Militia, Crazy Spider Adventures, all on YouTube. Crazy Spider got himself a number of star notes today. I don't know where he wound up running into those at, but he sent me a message. He's got like, good grief, I don't know, 5 or 6 or maybe even 7. Who knows? Oh, quite a few, definitely. And for, let's see, our winners from the Legend Show February 1st. I've gotten, people are kind of wondering, hey, did the winners receive their prizes? Have their prizes been shipped? Different things like that. And what we've got to remember is, I forwarded that information on in a very timely fashion. But, shortly after that, Turkey got hit with earthquakes. And I'm sure that could potentially interrupt shipping a little bit. So hopefully everything is still going well. The last I knew, Dilek, her family, the Nokta company, they're all okay. We're keeping everyone else in our thoughts, obviously, because that's it's been quite a disaster over there, and it's going. I mean, we're not talking months of rebuilding. It's going to take quite some time. Definitely quite some time. And that's unfortunate. But that's the way it goes. What do you do? Welcome to Dave. So that's what we've got there. We wanted to make sure that people did, in fact, know that, yes, the information was forwarded on to Nokta, and yeah, the very next day, you're right. So that information has been forwarded on. Oh my. And it looks like, yep, there's Frank. They, for those that caught, obviously you can catch Detect America Mondays at 8 p.m. Eastern over on the Detect America group, DA Live. Multicasting, actually. Dig it, Detect America, and YouTube, I believe. And then you've got Shelley and Dawn at 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. I'm finally starting to get this little bit of a schedule changed down. 7 p.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And they're simulcasting Facebook, YouTube. So we've got all that. And with Frank being in, definitely interesting. Everybody's still talking about the Manticore. Everybody's still interested in seeing what it can do, what it's capable of. And I've said it from the beginning. I think this thing is going to be a real beast in the field. And so far, it certainly does not seem to be disappointing in that respect. I've been hearing from some people about some things that have been recovered with the Manticore, and I've been hearing of other finds that have been made with the Manticore. And quite frankly, I've said it last Wednesday. I think I said it the Sunday before. Wherever you get your information from, and I don't care where you get your information from, but wherever it is that you get your information from, make sure it's a reputable or trusted source. And there are a lot of people that are just, they're completely off the chain as far as getting hung up on 1 watt. And I still say that a little bit of even just layman understanding of two-way communication, transmit, receive, whether it's CB, walkie-talkies, ham radio, any of that stuff. And you would definitely start to have a better understanding why you shouldn't get hung up on the whole 1 watt debate. I mean, that's all the machine is going to put out is 1 watt. Why? Because that is regulation. But it's not necessarily the watt of power. It's the frequencies. The watt of power is just a carrier. And many people have already heard all of this. So don't get hung up on it. Don't think just because it only has 1 watt that it's not going to be some people are getting hung up on, well, it's only 1 watt. I can't justify the price point. You couldn't be further from the truth. You can justify the price point. Believe me. Especially if you're hearing about things being found like what I'm hearing about things being found. Let's see. Oh, Frank's saying I figured it out with the whole show thing. We'll talk. Well, so that kind of I don't know, for people that listen to Detect America Monday. I kind of got sidetracked there a little bit. My chat was running on. For people who listen to Detect America Monday, they might have heard Frank say something about maybe trying a little bit of an experiment, and we're kind of working on a little bit of an experiment. Who knows how it's going to work out, how it's going to go, anything like that. But it's worth a shot at least. It's it could be interesting. We'll have to see what happens. But if it works out, then all I can say is more power and best of luck. I hope it pans out okay. We'll have to see. And there may be an announcement somewhere in the future on what that is. But we'll see. And I don't know what's going on there. I don't know if somebody asked if this little experiment is an experiment on Steve or what, but no, it's not an experiment on Steve. We'll have to see how it works, and I may, there may have to be a little bit of priming going on as well, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. That's all I can say at this point. But the way it sounds, we may have made it another step closer to trying said experiment. But we'll see what happens, and we hope that if that does work out, like I said, we definitely wish all the best, and I hope it works out. Give all the support that we can. So we'll see how it goes. Obviously, then, Sunday, we had an archive. Figured that most people were probably going to be watching the game. And, I don't know. For some people that did watch the game, I'm sure that after watching the game, they were probably going, well, that was, I just wasted some time of my life there. I probably should have listened to the archive instead. But that's the beauty of archives. You can go back and listen to them anytime. So we didn't have the discussion Sunday, so we're going to work that in a little bit tonight and talk a little bit more about the Manticore and things like that. So, with that being said, how's it going, Chuck?
It's going well. How about you, Josh?
Good.
Good.
Enjoying the weather I can, anyway.
Yeah, we're going to be watching the weather here. They're talking 3 days here.
Yeah, we had a couple of nice days, and now it's cold, getting cold again, and Mother Nature just needs to make up her mind. I mean, we really haven't had a good hard freeze to kill off some of the germs and things of that nature, so I don't know. I mean, it seems like we're starting to come out of winter a little too early, but now here we are going back into it.
Yep, it's coming back. Hello, it's coming.
Mm-hmm.
So, and talking about the Manticore, I've got several of my customers that are just tearing it up with them. And some of their wattage, power, milliwatts, whatever you want to go after. I was schooled a little bit a few years back from Mind Labs group on coil, power direction, how it's handled, the eddy currents coming from the coil, how they direct their currents out of that coil and back in with the power that they're allowed. And they've got a handle on doing that. And
right.
They could still make the claim that the detector overall is the most powerful out there for recovering coins. I know that was the big hitch in the giddy up with a lot of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
But also what looked good, and Dennis Phelan, he got one, and he's just tearing it up. He's like, he was amazed, and he's got an 800 he got from me,
mm-hmm.
and he's loving it. So, Yeah, and there's naysayers on every detector that ever came out on anything that they can figure out they can be picking at. I see they're picking at the Axiom a little bit. Well, the Axiom may not have done well at the IV, but I'm seeing guys do very well with it in the gold field.
Right, I was going to say, you saw firsthand what it's capable of in Alaska.
Yes, and I've got several customers West Coast that have bought them, and they like them, and they're doing very well, and they're making me jealous because they're sending pictures of gold. So,
right, and Chuck's going, oh, I can't make up my mind, Axion or Manticore,
yeah.
Axion or Manticore.
No, and I'm just patiently waiting for more. Eventually, I will get up my hands on one, and you know, there's been some consternation with the slowness of everything right now.
Right, yeah, and I know that there are some people that they're getting a little frustrated with it, but there again, I mean, we've said it before. We saw it with the Equinox. We've seen it with the A.T. Max. We've seen it with the Legend. You know, when these the Deus 2, when these machines first become available, that is exactly what they are doing, is trickling in. It takes a while to get that supply and demand chain up and running smoothly and getting the distributors well stocked for the dealers, basically.
Right. Oh, it just takes a while. Be patient. They'll get here. 900's the same way. They're coming through. And I'm looking forward to it. But the weather, actually, we were in the 50s the past several days. And
so were we. Actually, I think the one day we got up to 60.
Coming in and things, and then right in the smack in the middle of it, at 3 a.m., we're out on a barn fire. And barn fires are not a good thing, because when you get there, they're generally from top to bottom engulfed, and that one was. And we were trying to protect the house and dodge, what were there, 4 100-pound cylinders of propane in there, keeping stock warm. And they started lighting off. And 2 of them blevied and blew the whole back wall of the barn out. No one injured. We were back. They warned us they were in there, so we were just doing a defensive thing and keeping the house from getting it. A few trees near it caught fire. We were putting them out, too. So it was a long couple days there, watching the nice weather and not be able to go out and play in fields.
Right. And on top of it, getting to hear about what everyone else is finding, but you can't go find.
No. And, well, it is what it is. It goes with the territory. And then they got work on a gas line going on in town, and they had a road closed, which was near there, but it didn't interrupt us. But now they flared it all day, and then they're going to take the line out and replace a long section, valves, all that stuff. It's at a junction point. And so we've been keeping an eye out there. Of course, they've been in touch with us on what they're doing.
Right. Yeah.
So every once in a while, you get interrupted with that stuff.
Yeah, unfortunately, it happens.
And I know Frank is pretty much liking that Manticore a lot. And
he is.
He's got his favorite tree. It's been paying off for him.
Right. And so
Barb's
far,
down in the weather. I'm in the doghouse with her already.
Oh, well, that doesn't take much.
Oh, but I didn't get put in jail.
This is true.
There you go.
This is definitely true. But yeah, I mean, from what I've been hearing from others that have actually had their hands on a Manticore, been out running it and everything, they're doing quite well, and they're getting some very respectable depth on the machine. And not only are they getting some respectable depth, they're uncovering targets that other machines or other hunters have missed. So this machine is definitely breathing new life into old areas.
Yep. And Susan, you couldn't be more correct in your statement. So we'll leave it at that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. She says, my lab is hurting the small dealers a lot. You don't know the extent of it, Susan.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Unfortunately, I mean, we've been seeing it. I don't know. I suppose
Frank made just a good comment on it right now. Once you wrap your head around in that machine, or around that machine, it will rock. Yes, and
absolutely
picked up on it immediately. Frank, I wish I knew what was up with this Xterra Pro. I think they're trying to fit a unit in another niche of the market that it's multi-frequency, but it's not scanning multi-frequency. They have a coil with all three frequencies in it that the Xterra were, if you remember, you bought a different coil and you got a different frequency.
To run a different frequency, you had to have a different coil. So there were a lot of Xterra users that had a number of coils.
It was called the Xterra Plus, and if you ever ran the Xterra, they're not that difficult to run. And I will say one thing about the Xterra's Gold program. They morphed it into the 800 and others, and it is a killer gold machine. I've used it up in Alaska and really nailed a lot of gold with it. So it's a good little machine. They just resurrected it, put it all into one with three frequencies switchable in the coil. That's what I know about it, Frank.
Right.
I think you're trying to fit in different levels of the market. Keep them simple, put them in a big box store, and people can walk out and use them. And that's what's going on with my lab.
And with the Xterra Pro, it's like you said, they're trying to put everything into one box, basically. So now you don't have to buy a different coil to run a different frequency. And I think some people they may already kind of be writing it off, not giving the machine a chance to prove itself. But we already know from past experience, especially like the 705 Gold package, that machine actually does very well at recovering gold. So I'm kind of curious to see how this new Xterra Pro is going to work out, because if it can do anything like the 705 has done in the gold fields and still be right there in a comparable price range, because I'm not sure what the price point is on it, but if it's right there in a comparable price range, there's going to be a number of people that's a very viable option and solution for them.
Yep. So I'll have to wait and see when it gets out here and try one out, see what the price ranges are, what's going on there. That'll tell us an awful lot.
Right.
And if you guys don't know out there, my lab, hands down, has made the best gold machines out there. Hands down.
Right.
I've used many different gold machines over many different years in many different situations. Hot soils, medium, Alaska, Arizona, California, Wyoming, the whole western tier. And hands down, the mine lab stood tall above everything. Now, the relic hunters have learned that the mine lab gold machines are excellent for relics in hot soils. They are designed to work that hot soil, and they do very well. So, we'll wait and see what they're coming up with.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, right now, everybody's talking about the Manticore. They're talking about the new revamped Equinoxes, the 700s,
Right.
the 900s, and now we get kind of blindsided with the Xterra Pro. There's not a whole lot of information out there for it yet.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody
Michael.
really has a lot of information on it yet.
Nope. Just a couple teaser pictures.
Yeah, a few short blurbs, and that's about it.
Yep.
And Mind Lab has kept Debbie so busy that by the time she is able to do the circuit of the shows, we're going to be talking about a number of different machines.
Right.
Because I'm curious to know what these are doing.
Changes.
Yeah. And unfortunately,
And Susan Toker asked a question a little bit ago I want to address. Would Xterra Pro be good for users in high EMI areas? Okay. It all depends upon, with that one, you're working a single frequency, and you could shift or change frequencies to find what's working best in the area you're in. So you would have to do a little hunt and peck there and figure out which of the three frequencies and work with that. Very well could be very good in the area you're in, Susan.
Depending.
But I don't know. I don't have it in hand. I don't know what you're up against.
Right, and we don't even really have much information on the Xterra Pro yet.
And the 800, 600, 7 and 900, you have that option of searching single frequencies. If it's killing in all frequencies, you can go from 4, 5, 10, 20 megahertz, and you could find a range you could maybe continue to work in.
Right, and that is the nice thing about the simultaneous multi-frequency units that are out there is because sometimes that simultaneous multi-frequency can combat some of that EMI a little better, but
Right.
You do find yourself in certain situations and scenarios where you have to come out of that simultaneous multi-frequency and start scanning through your single frequencies to find one that's going to better suit your particular environmental scenario.
And Jason made a point. Isn't it funny how these Xterras are being tested in China? Well, I've heard others say that it was actually brought out maybe for the area over there in
the overseas market.
Right.
Well, and with the wattage of the Xterra Pro, that thing goes so deep, they've got to use a balloon to hunt with it. I'm joking. Don't take that seriously, folks. I couldn't resist.
Yeah. I was shopping the other day looking for a balloon rifle.
Well,
something that poke up there a ways.
You need a pretty good sized projectile.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen signs that were posted, all balloon rides were canceled.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you what. I don't know if you noticed this or heard anybody talking about it in your area, but after that balloon fell down, there's a lot more people watching the sky. And
well, yeah.
It's almost like every night here since the balloon had went down, it's like a full moon night or something. Everybody's like, "Oh, there's something in the sky. I think it's a UFO." No, I think it's Starlink. No, it's a satellite. It's SpaceX. It's another weather balloon.
Yep. And the other night, Travis hollers at me and says, "Get out here." What is that? and this thing's going over, and it looked like a long pencil line of dots. Well, what that is one of those SpaceX launches, or one of those that had 52 of these Starcom satellites, and it continues to orbit and gain altitude. As it gets to a certain altitude, they're dropped and will go into fixed position for communications. But when you see that go over, you're looking at it, and it looks like somebody launched a train, and you're seeing the lights of the passenger cars all lit up go by.
Right. It's like Close Encounters of the Third Kind or something. It's like everybody's going, oh my God, look out. There's going to be cattle mutilations, and people are going to start being abducted, and here we go.
Oh, every one of those guys is coming out of the woodwork. Now, folks.
Yeah.
I do not disbelieve UFOs. And it goes back to my dad. And I was talking to Mom about Dad and what he saw in World War II one day. And Mom looked at me and grinned. She says, just go ask him one question and see what he tells you. Ask him about Foo Fighters. And I looked at her and said, yep, just ask him about that one.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Went and asked him. And he turned around and he looked at me with this stare almost, and he says, why? Mom said to ask you about Foo Fighters. He looked at me and he said, if you think we're the only thing out there, you're wrong.
You better think again.
We flew in bomber formations, especially over the Aleutians, going towards the Coral Islands to bomb Japanese subpits. We had things flying with us. A couple of our pilots reported them, and they were told never talk about them again. So there's things there. So, but I've never had an encounter. Really don't care to have an encounter. There's things out there that can't be explained, but everybody comes out of the woodwork when this stuff comes out. Some of them might be wearing their tinfoil hats.
Right.
And you're going, oh my God.
Yeah, suddenly everybody's watching the sky. And it's like, wow, okay, what's next? The Flatlanders will be back or something.
Right.
I don't know.
I agree with you. There's unidentified flying objects out there. I mean, there are.
Right.
They've studied them. They've done everything. The government's not telling us everything, but as far as it goes, if they haven't bothered me, I'm not going to bother them.
Yeah, no sense in poking a sleeping bear. And people have got to understand, too, the term UFO just simply means unidentified flying object. It does not necessarily mean that is alien technology.
Yep. And Jason, so what's up with the Air Force saying that the last 3 that were shot down were crafts that were not of a balloon or aircraft type? I don't know if you have to ask China or Russia that one. I don't know what's going on with that.
Right. But notice how they leave.
Right.
That's the administration for you. They love to leave everything vague.
Well,
they like room to squirm.
I won't even go to the administration right now being vague. They're lost in a cloud.
That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
All right, Danny, your Equinox screen is completely blank. I don't
Turn
know
it
how
on.
long you've had your Equinox, but that's something to send in on.
Yeah, that is definitely an issue. Hopefully it's still under warranty. I mean, if it is, then it'll definitely be covered.
Right. Or if it blacks out all the way, the entire screen goes black. Get it sent in, get it fixed.
Yeah, definitely. That's That's unfortunate.
Yep.
Ian,
you're right. Ouch.
I wonder if he's had it in the water or anything. Maybe there was a
I don't know.
housing failure. Hard to say.
Yeah. Bill, you're right.
I don't know. Now, you've been hearing some, I don't know how much you care to touch on that or not, but you've been hearing of some interesting finds being made with the Manticore.
Yes. Dennis and a couple of guys that have bought them from me are doing rather well. Dennis, on his first 2 outings, got into a yard, got permission on it, found out it had been hunted. He's like, oh boy. And he said it had been hunted, but they gave him carte blanche. They said, go at it. An 1880 home, and the surrounding area was rather large. And his first afternoon, he was into a large scent. Let's see, over the 2 days, 2 small gold rings, various
Barber
other
dime.
silver coins, and was all excited. And he kept calling me. He said, man, I'm doing this thing out of the box, man. And he said, I'm turning it up. And he was. And then
Indian head spill.
Yeah, he had a 5 penny Indian head spill, 5 of them deep.
With nails.
Just hammering stuff. And he said one of these coins was directly in a bunch of nails. It locked on immediately. He said, when that locks on, it locks on hard.
Right. Which is, pretty much the same scenarios that we've been hearing from Frank. When it locks on to a target, it locks on to a target.
Right. Uh-oh, Pacifico's in the house.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, him and Frank are at it already.
There goes the chat.
Frank says, speaking of UFOs, Steve. There goes the neighborhood.
Yeah. There it goes.
There it goes. Lost all control.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to actually getting out and working with one, but eventually.
Right.
My lab, kick it up a notch. Let's get them in to the right people's hands.
It all takes time, unfortunately. And from everything I'm hearing, I still say it's not a machine for somebody just getting into the hobby to try and wrap their mind around.
I don't think it's going to be that. Starting out and buying that one and trying to wrap your head around it right away may not be the best.
Yeah, may be a bit much.
We'll see.
But from
what I like to do is take one out of the box and tell myself I know nothing about metal detecting. Turn it on and walk out. And
how easy is it to just turn on and go?
Right. Now, how easy is it just to turn it on and go, and then move forward from there, and without thinking I know anything, and see what people would do. Would I recommend it to that guy? I'll find out.
Right. And these things they're hot.
We got Kevin in the house.
Hey,
he's a birthday boy.
That's right. Happy birthday to Kevin. We did make sure to wish him a happy birthday on the group, and we hope that he's had an enjoyable day for his birthday.
Yeah, Jason, they're pouring into the big box stores, not all the dealers.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But we've kind of, quite frankly, we've seen that starting basically with the Equinox and the the people in charge at Mine Lab have some interesting ideas. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that we haven't gotten any before all this occurred. We all got
Right.
some.
Right.
So I can't bang the gong that loud. But now it's slowed up.
Exactly. And we're hoping, I mean, everybody's hoping that that starts to speed up a little bit. I mean, I know yourself, Ronnie, a few others, they're shipping them out the door as fast as they come in. They're trying to get them to the customers, but you can only
Right.
ship what you've got. And when
And
you
the other
don't have
thing
it,
is, this is a worldwide release. And
Exactly.
it's going into Europe. It's going into everywhere across the world at this time. So there's only so many coming out so fast and getting in so many hands. And I'm sure they made some promises to big box stores, except the numbers that they got were phenomenal.
right. But you've got to remember too, folks, I mean, we've said it before many, many times.
Yeah,
Given the
Roger's
choice,
stuff's brand new. Sorry, Josh.
given the choice, stick with a reputable dealer and not a big box store, because you will not get that after the sale customer service from a big box store like you will from a reputable dealer.
Right.
You absolutely will not. And a lot of dealers have even went the way anymore of, who are you again? Did you purchase that machine from me? I don't recall that. I can't help you.
That's right. So, and a few dealers have closed up shop.
Yeah. More than a few, it seems.
Yep.
And it's unfortunate, but that's just the way things are going. The way the economy is. I mean, look, we've seen shipping rates increase multiple times. I believe Ronnie even had he even cut back to a 5% discount for members of Detect America because of shipping increases, shipping supplies, the cost increase on those. A lot of dealers have unfortunately had to kind of shy away from free shipping because of the shipping costs. And it's even affecting the shows where, we're looking into different shipping options. I mean, I even announced on the show last year that the next time I send a book out as a prize for whoever that prospective winner is, it'll get shipped media rate rather than priority mail.
Yep. That's something you got to do, and going up, such as credit card use.
Yeah, processing fees.
And people are charging for the credit card use. Some of them up to 4.25%.
Yeah, absolutely.
You give them, you do the credit card, a free ship, and they want you to throw something in, and by the time you're done, it's like, it's tough.
Yeah, it is. It's getting very tough. And that has essentially forced some small dealers out.
Yes.
Because they can't, you can't do that and expect to make anything.
Right.
Unfortunately. I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's true. It's just the way it is.
And it actually hurts some of the big dealers too. They've quit doing free ships and that kind of stuff, only on certain things, only over so much amount, and that's gotten less and less.
Right.
Happening anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. It used to be. I mean, anymore you see that the free shipping. It used to be it was on a certain dollar amount purchase, and we've seen over the past couple of years that dollar amount keeps going up, where maybe you saw free shipping on orders that were $100. Then it went to maybe orders over $250. And
Right.
now, it's almost even hard to find free shipping when you're purchasing a detector.
Yes. Michael, I'll talk to you about that sometime, how the Gravedigger tools are doing.
Oh. Yeah. That. I don't know. He may be curious about that and interested in hearing the goings-ons about that, but yeah, you'll have to give him a call and talk to him about that sometime.
Yep. So
that's
anyway,
all I can say.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
But going back to the Manticore, I've got some very happy campers. I've got one that he feels it's 10 on par of the 800. He hasn't seen a major depth difference yet, but I haven't talked to him. He's only been out once or twice.
And I would be curious to know, and we've kind of had this conversation before, where sometimes you're not necessarily noticing any sort of an increase in depth. Is it because of your settings, or is it because, quite frankly, there just isn't anything there that's any deeper to find? Or it could be, I don't know. I haven't had a Manticore in my hands yet, but
nope.
Sometimes
I've had it in my hands, put it together, play with it a little bit, and out it went. They went
right,
hunting.
Right. But sometimes, and we already know that the Manticore is hot out of the box. I mean, it's definitely a hot machine, and sometimes you get into certain areas where it almost sounds kind of counterintuitive to some people, but sometimes less is best. Just because you can crank the sensitivity up to 25 or whatever doesn't mean that you want to, because sometimes it's like having your high beams on in the fall. Yeah. So sometimes if you reduce that sensitivity, you see a little more depth. Exactly. So I kind of wonder with some people if that's not what's going on when they say they're not noticing much of a difference in depth from the Manticore compared to, say, the Equinox or another manufacturer, whatever the case may be. And I'm also very interested to see, and maybe this is something that you can check with some of your customers that do have the Manticore. I know I've had this conversation with Frank. We know that the 800 can pick up on very small targets. We know that the 800 can hit gold chains, which is difficult for a lot of machines. The CTX struggles to see a gold chain. That's not saying it's a bad machine. Yeah. That's not saying it's a bad machine. It just struggles in that respect, where we know the Equinox can see it. I'm curious to see somebody kind of test out the Manticore with some gold chains and see what happens, or a piece of a necklace, because I would venture to say, from what I'm hearing from everybody else thus far, I think that thing's going to be killer on chains too.
I'm hoping. And Frank says there's no such thing as iron pulsing on the machine. If you get a weird tone, just look at the center line. It has never been wrong. And sounds good, Frank.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I like about this, because we know that Frank has a Manticore in his hands. He's putting it through the paces.
He's in love with it. It's huggies, man. It's finding some good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he was hoping it'd be in the par of that 30-30, and I think he's finding it is. Maybe a little better.
Yeah. And I'm sure Frank is probably saying that he doesn't want to he doesn't want to necessarily come right out and assume that just yet. He wants some more time with the machine, and that's good. I respect that completely.
I do too. I mean, we're out there. We've got a whole plethora of good machines right now.
Right.
The 900, 800. You've got the DS2. You've got the Legend, and the Manticore. There's a lot of them out there that right now are.
They're standing tall. They are definitely standing tall.
But I had a guy complain to me the other day, and I said, yes, I'm part of the problem. There's too many people detecting now, is what he's saying. He can't find anything anymore. Yep, I'm part of that problem. I sell them. I've sold a lot of them, and I have a lot of happy people. And I said, what are you using for a machine? And he said, an A.T. Pro. I said, it's a good machine. You should still be finding stuff. I said, you know, and he started laughing. He said, I was watching a guy with the 900, and I recently sold it. This is a buddy of his. And he says, that thing gets some depth.
Oh, yeah, it will. It will definitely get some depth. And it's a good machine.
Sure.
I mean,
they were going back and forth on each other's targets.
Right.
And he said, for the targets that were good coins, they were extremely deep. 2 of them were silvers, and I couldn't hear them.
And the A.T. Pro is a good machine, especially in a well-versed user. I will say, though, that the A.T. Pros can smear the signals when you're in the heavy iron, where you can pick those out with an Equinox. We've got Frank on with us. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, guys, what's happening?
Hey, Frankie.
So, I just want to chime in because I see it in the chat tonight, and I've seen it in different chats. Folks are talking about, people are complaining about iron falsing and a lot of false tones. And I just want to clarify one thing that I've seen with this sucker. You're going to get tones like you get with any other machine. You're in a sketchy area, they're going to pop. And there's a lot of stuff you can do to get rid of them. But false iron tones do not exist. And the reason is, if you get a tone that you think is a false tone, all you need to do is look at that center line. And if it's not touching that center line, it's not, it could be ferrous. If it's touching the center line, it's non-ferrous. That line has never been wrong for me so far. Absolutely, positively. And your nails, you'll learn that your nails and bent iron, they actually give a very unique signature on that screen, but they don't touch the center line. So even if you think, oh, this might be iron falsing, you might get that tone in your head. You might get that tone in your ears. But the separator, what separates the men from the boys is that line, because iron will not touch that center line.
Right. Knowing how to utilize
line, it's non-ferrous.
Yeah, knowing how to utilize the tools that you have at your disposal, the audio, the screen.
Exactly. And it's one of the things it kind of takes a little getting used to. You do spend a lot more time focusing on that screen. But I got that. And
Right.
even walking around the first couple of weeks where I didn't really know why the machine was doing this or why the machine was doing that, the answer of whether it's a good machine or not is the pockets full of stuff I've been walking out with.
Right.
And now that my head is getting wrapped around a little bit and I kind of beginning to know where the numbers are and remembering to constantly look at that, check that center line, the machine is really starting to rock.
I know Steve was going to be going out with a Deus too, and he's trying to wrap his head around that one. So, and they run a different scale of what you find in what Minelab and Garrett. Everybody seems to have a legend, a little bit of different scale on response on their graphing.
Right.
Remember, folks, this isn't metallurgy. They're getting a signal, a radio signal sent down. It excites the metal. It comes back up. It picks it up, and they graph it. And that return signal falls within a certain tone group in a graph, and that's how you're reading. It's a pull tab, or it's an Indian head penny, or a zinc penny, or whatever falls into that same area of that graph.
And you'll learn your can slaw on that machine. Your can slaw is coming in all the way at the bottom or all the way at the other end of that line. But that line is truly a gap. I hope if they ever come out with a new CTX, they go from the 2-digit to that line, because that line is a game changer.
Cool.
And that's right every single time.
And that's really saying something too.
A little bit. I'm switching back and forth on different detectors quite often when we get something new in, trying to wrap my head around, okay, if this was the 800 and it's reading 13, that's a nickel, but I'm over on the legend. 13 is not a nickel.
No.
Right, yeah, that's the thing. You gotta learn your numbers.
54, I think, isn't it? And
exactly. It's a different machine. If you try to compare it and you try and run it like the Knox, like the other machine, you're gonna stumble a little bit. And that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest hurdle, is kind of realizing it doesn't really operate. As for the depth, if I'm swinging on the beach, I'm finding more targets than I probably should be finding this time of the year. Where I notice the extreme depth isn't necessarily in the easy stuff, in the sand, in the sandy loam. It's in the sketchy areas. When it gets a little mineralized, when the targets might be deeper, might be smaller, that's where I'm seeing the big difference in this thing. It literally is reaching through the trash and grabbing this stuff deep. That's where it seems to really excel. Listen, if you're on the beach and you're not finding 10-inch targets, well, there may not be any 10-inch targets there.
Exactly.
But
that's in the woods. He said he was told depth was based on the diameter of the coil. That's not quite true. No. I've had 6-inch coils that get the same depth as the stock coil. No, I'm not saying they get the same depth as the giant charcoal grill, 17s, 15s, things like that.
Yeah. In the old days, the analog ones, you got more depth. Yeah. Yeah, and as long as, for those who know, a butterfly coil is a double D coil, as long as these coils share a common bar down the center, as long as the transmitter and the receiver are sharing that common bar, that will regulate your big coil from going 20 feet in the ground as opposed to your small coils. It's the same amount of winding for the same frequency in every coil, no matter how big it is. Relative depth change on a big coil is pretty minimal compared to a smaller coil. Your frequency in digital machines, the frequency you're running and the construct of that frequency, how well built that particular frequency is built, will determine how far into the ground it goes chasing that 1 watt pulse of energy.
Right.
Yep. That's all they're allowed.
Now that machine's growing on me, Chuck. I gotta tell you, I'm liking it more and more every time I use it.
Well, see, and that's what's got me excited, is when you get into the sketchy areas like that, because I know for a fact I've put machines through the paces in a couple of areas around here, and I've hit silver coins easily 12, 13 inches deep. And I know just the way dirt's been moved around and stuff, there has to be stuff there that has not been found yet.
And that's the
it'll
thing,
be interesting.
in the area around this big tree that I've been digging, I got pockets of just nails and crap and junk that's all showing up at the same time on the screen. It wants to drive you a little batty, and then I get a tone, and I get something that's clear and it's different, and it's on the non-ferrous line. So I dig it amongst all this nail, and lo and behold, 12, 13, 14 inches deep, I'm pulling out a thimble, a little old, probably post-colonial thimble that I dug. I could see clear as a bell among hundreds of nails and crap. The machine absolutely does what it's supposed to do.
Same thing that he was running into the other day in a pile of crap. Out comes a large cent.
Right.
Yeah, and that's it. And that's the hard part to explain how the increased power does that. It allows it to get better separation. It allows it to see smaller targets. It allows it to see them deeper. And it allows it to maneuver in and out of this trash and show you a good target among a trash target. Those trash targets are there. If I wanted to dig them, I can see them too. But when I get something on that non-ferrous line and it's giving me a solid number and it's giving me a solid tone, there's something there. It's not fair. Hey, could it be a piece of aluminum? Sure. But it's non-ferrous and it's where it's telling you it is.
Right, and you already know then as you're cutting that plug and you're digging that hole and you're starting to recover targets and you're pulling nails out of the hole, you already know, no, that's not what I'm looking for. That's not the signal I was chasing. Something is still down there.
Exactly. And with this expanded target ID, you're going to also learn that you may get a 34, you may get a 17, you'll start to know what they are. And amongst these 34s and 17s and junk, you're seeing a 54. And you know what? I'm going into that pile of crap to dig that 54. And that 54 is going to be there. No matter what it is, it's going to be there. It's going to be non-ferrous.
Exactly.
And, it boils down to this, Frank. 90% of the people that are out metal detecting are doing okay. But there's 10% of the people out there that are doing exceptional. And why are they doing exceptional? I don't care a brand. I don't care anything about that. Those 10% of the people take the time to learn their craft.
They learn their machine and they're methodical.
Learn their machine. There's
develop
90%
your
will
good
complain
habits
to me.
and
I never found a barber. They never found it in the end. They don't understand it. But the 10% that are tearing it up have taken the time to learn the machine and what it's telling them, just like the Manticore, the Legend, whatever. So take your time, everybody, listen up. Take your time on your machine and learn it, and you'll do very well.
You guys know, my first couple of calls in about this Manticore, man, it was sketchy for me all day. I saw the good stuff in it. I saw stuff that was driving me a little nuts. And as I took it out and I used it and stop overthinking the small stuff, let the machine do a little bit of what the machine is designed to do, not without you trying to tweak every single aspect of it. Tweak what you need to tweak. Lower your sensitivity where you need to lower it. The machine is going to blow your socks off. It really, listen, is it out and out as quiet as a CTX? Nothing will ever be as quiet as the CTX. But with a little work,
the CTX was stable.
Stuff,
yes, it was.
For sure. 28 frequencies make that sucker stable.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm finding stuff so small and deep that knowing what I know about the CTX, as long as I've used the CTX, I know the CTX isn't seeing some of this stuff because it's so tiny, it's so deep, it's in such trashy areas. The CTX is a great machine and had its limitations, as this one will have some limitations. But for the price you paid it for their claims, more and more and more, every one of their claims are coming into view, and the machine is doing what they say.
Right.
Exactly, and that's one of the reasons that it
3030, the SE Pro, as that morphed from one to the other, as they got better and refined that, some of the things that they changed and took out, you lost a few things along the way.
Right.
Sure.
Well, and that's one of the things that's kind of got me so excited about the Manticore is, I mean, people that know Frank, they know he practically slept with the CTX. I mean, all 6 of them.
What do you mean practically?
He loves that machine. And now you're starting to hear him get excited about the Manticore because he sees the potential that machine has.
Here's the thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna tell you straight out. The Manticore is going to be a little more work in the field. You're paying more attention to the screen. You may be doing a tweak or two more here, but the result is I'm finding stuff that I know the CTX would have missed simply because the CTX seems bigger, and in the trashy areas, this thing can pick through it. Right. And it's going to put it in a slot separated away from the junk and put it somewhere where you can see it. The CTX, if I got a 1240, anything from 1243 to 1246, I know it's probably something good. I know it could be any number of a million things, but this machine with a little bit more work is going to put that in a slot where you're going to see those nails, you're going to see those pull tabs, you're going to see all the crap around it, and you're going to see the good target among all that stuff.
Exactly.
It'll be interesting. Yep. Well,
yes,
gentlemen, I'm going to back out of here. And y'all have a good one. I'm trying to get caught up anyway. It's been kind of a busy late evening week a couple nights. So
Right.
And Frank, thank you for all the input. I was trying to get Pacifico to call in and talk about him working with his Deus, but he didn't do it.
He's talking about pizza, I think, on another show. I'm not sure.
Oh. Okay. All righty.
I think it's a pizza.
Thank you for the info. Keep it up. Let me know what you find under the big tree the next time.
I will, brother. Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you later.
Yeah, it sounds like we'll be talking soon, Frank.
Everybody be safe out there. Here comes some snow, so be ready. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Thanks for the lovely update.
I got to share it with you. I'm sending it your way. You know that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's coming. And I'll do what I can to send it Steve's way.
Okay. See ya.
We'll see you, Chuck. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
So, good call from Chuck. Definitely good call from Frank. It's always good to hear what Frank's got to say, especially in terms of the Manticore. I'm telling you, people, it is going to be a beast in the field. An absolute beast. And I've called a few of them off the bat before. And I've called this one too. I think it's going to be a beast in the field. People are going to be surprised. And maybe in the end of it all, you as the end consumer have to ask yourself, what do I want out of the hobby? What do I want out of the field? And what do I want out of my machine? And you're going to find out, just like many times before, it's all the success in the field is relative to time spent with your machine, time spent learning that machine and understanding what it's telling you. And you see, you watch, I don't care, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Pick any of your social platforms, YouTube, whatever it may be. And you see some people that are out there consistently killing it. And sometimes you wonder, how is it that they're able to just continue to produce? And that's because it's relevant to time spent in the field. They're out there, they're hitting it every day, they're working the machine, they're trying to learn it and understand it, and the more they do with that machine, the more that machine becomes an extension of themselves. It's another tool in the toolbox. You just got to learn how to use it to its maximum potential. And that's why I say the Manticore is not necessarily a machine for somebody just getting into the hobby. Where the Manticore is going to shine, really shine, are for the people that have been in the hobby for a while. They understand the machines a little better, the science behind them, the way they function, operate, and how to tweak that machine to suit their environment. And therefore, they're making the environment work for them. It's a truism. Check it out. Learn it, live it, love it. Until the next one, we gotta roll. It sounds like me and Frank have some talking to do here in the near future. Good calls from Chuck and Frank both. Good discussion tonight. Good discussion in the chat as well. We'll catch everyone on the next one. Have a wonderful evening, folks. Get out there and try to find something if you can. Try to stay warm. The snow's coming. We'll catch you later.